Okay, so Mexico, My Love may be the best book I ever wrote. I'm proud of all my books, but Mexico, My Love is a very special book, and it was probably my best launch ever. But it remains to be a very difficult book to market. All right, and we'll get into that. My name is Cody Siangel. If you didn't know me already, I am the author of five, soon to be six books. I am a independent author, and I'm sharing my. I'm the author that you know. I'm sharing my journey with you, my triumphs, my mistakes, and I think this is a really interesting subject, and it's something that came to me as I've been running 99 cent, 99 pence promos on my novels, and seeing the different results. And now I'm making some assumptions based off of circumstantial evidence that I have, but I'm looking at over time all my books. I'm tracking all of their the launches, how well the launches do, how well the how well they do when I run a 99 cent promo, and how much they're able to sell the other books. And I'm finding some very interesting things. And one that is very interesting to me is that of all my books, which there are five novels now, Mexico My Love is the outlier. Most of my books are historical military fiction. Oh well, they're all that way. The other four books are the Civil War trilogy that has Carl as the main character, and then the last book that came out, which is the Prussian Prince, in which Carl is also the main character. Mexico My Love was a kind of an interesting experiment, and it's one, like I said, I think it's maybe the best book I ever wrote. But it was a little different from the other ones because I think I was experimenting with different audiences, and what I believe I did was I tried to appeal to two audiences that do overlap each other, but there are elements of these audiences and what they expect and what they want in their books that can make them mutually exclusive. By the way, if I seem to be talking funny, my allergies are going crazy. My lymph nodes and my tongue are all swollen. Can't hear out of this ear because of it's all clogged up full of junk. So let's get into this. So when I say that, so first of all, let's look at this. So here is the landing page of Mexico My Love, and it's done pretty well. It's out of 16 ratings, it's sitting at a 4.6. It it's got a few reviews, some of which are friends. This one, someone who I don't know, I'll cover his name up here, from the United Kingdom, wrote, I chose to read this because it seemed to be a novel about the Mexican American War, which I was interested to learn more about. However, the characters don't reach Mexico until two-thirds of the way through. It is, though, an entertaining, fast moving novel with a good storyline and a strong sense of place, France, North Africa, and ultimately Mexico, which I like. The author has a good imagination. He even manages to include Alexander Dumas as one of the characters in the time he is planning his novel, The Count of Monte Cristo. It is also a love story, and a good one at that, although the descriptions of intimacy are rather repetitive. Yeah, I can be that way. You know, I, I can be, I can have some good intimacy scenes, I think, in my books. So the genre that I write in is called historical fiction, and it's a huge umbrella. There's a it's vast, and there's a lot of books that are considered historical fiction that can be very different from each other. More specifically, my genre is uh, mil- histo- historical military fiction and historical action adventure, and even more specific, all of that, but mid to late, pretty much mid 19th century. You know, I covered the American Civil War, which is 61 to 65. I cover the Mexican American War, which is in 1848. And I'm right now, I have a book on the Austro-Prussian War, which is 1866. And right now I'm writing a novel about the Franco-Prussian War, which is 1870. So that's kind of my niche right now, is that I write military action adventure novels that take place in real historical events. And it's not a very big, it's a very dedicated genre as far as audience. Like the people who read my kind of books are ferocious readers. And this is why this book did so well when it first came out. It was my best launch ever, and not because I don't think it was. I think a few things happened when it came out. Now I'll show you. Let's do this. Stop screen. I copied this graph from my Amazon account here. And, share screen. Yeah. So this is basically some of it got clipped here. We're missing. Okay, it's missing the timeline, but this is basically the my um, uh, my royalty income since let's see 2018 to today, and I'll just have to put in the times for you. So if you look, let's see if I put this up here. This first bump right here, this beginning right here is when I put out the American Civil War was about slavery, which is a very brief nonfiction book. It's like a pamphlet, and it sold, and it still sells today. Actually, this is the launch of Rampage on the River, my very first debut novel, and you can see here's quite a bit of a bump, and then I wish I had the dates in here. This would be 2019, like March of 2019, and then as you can see, I have this launch, and then it kind of falls off, and there's some peaks and valleys. It gets pretty low here, and then this is the writing book I put out, which is, by the way, free. I have a book on how to write your own novel. It's free right now worldwide, all the way through Wednesday. And then this bump right here would be February of 2020, and that's when the Perils of Perryville came out. Once again, you see, after the initial surge of people buying, the people who are waiting for it, it falls off again. I mean, you go in these doldrums. 2020 was a really hard year, and then here we go. This is the Blood for Blood at Nashville that came out in 2021, July 2021, and you can see much bigger. This is the capstone of the trilogy, and that did very well. And then I had peaks, but the other thing was too is with this I started advertising on. I started advertising on Amazon with this. Okay, so there's a little bit of that going on here, and then you see this big jump right here. Couple things happened. I published A Mexico My Love, and I also started advertising on Facebook. And you can see it even, I don't know if you see my cursor when I'm showing it on this screen here, but you can see this penultimate bump here. It's quite significant, and it lasts pretty well. And even when it gets down low, the low here is almost as high as these peaks. And then this is my last one. This is the Prussian Prince. This should get a little better because we're not done with the month yet, but not as big of a launch as Mexico My Love. But several things happened with Mexico My Love. It wasn't just that it wasn't just because people were buying Mexico My Love. I think also I was being discovered, so people were buying the whole series, and they were finding I was advertising on Facebook, and it just seemed at that time if I put an ad out, I was going to make sales. And so over time, I've kind of settled into a certain pattern of how I do things, and that's basically every 90 days my Amazon contract renews, and during each 90-day period, I can offer those books at 99 cents or 99 pence in the UK, or I can offer them. Well, the other ones I can offer, like the slavery one and the writing ones, that those can be free for 5 days. But the novels I can do 99 cents every 90 days. And so what I've done is when they're on special, I'll run an ad to them. And the philosophy is maybe I'm losing money because I'm spending money to get someone to buy something for less. But if they like it, they'll read the rest of the series. And I found some interesting, over time doing this now for a few years, some interesting patterns. And one is that the interior books, like book 1 or book 2 and 3, and I'll tell you the way that this series is structured, it's a trilogy that is chronological. It starts at the beginning of the American Civil War and it ends at the end of the American Civil War, or at least very close to the end of the American Civil War. And so I find that if I put book 1 on 99 cents, and that's what they tell you to do, yeah, I'll make some sales, and that book will sell, and it'll do okay. But what really seems to do the trick is that if I put book 2 or 3 at 99 cents, because they're interesting books, people like them. They're both well received. I think Perils of Perryville may be my best rated book of all 5 of them. But I think what happens is when someone sees that either The Perils of Perryville or Blood for Blood at Nashville for 99 cents, and then they go look and they go, oh, this is book 2 or 3. And even though I write every single book like as if you don't need to read the other ones, I think people see that deal and say, okay, that looks good. You know what? I'm just going to buy the whole series then. So they're kind of brought in for the 99 cent deal and end up buying the whole series. Now that works fine. The problem with Mexico, My Love, and just so you know, I don't even know what the deal is with The Prussian Prince, because that won't go on special until The French Fiasco comes out, which is the next book in the series. I have found, and it just happened recently, I put Mexico, My Love contract renewed, and I was able to run some promotions on it and see if I can't get some interest in it. And I spent money on Meta, both on Amazon and on Meta, which is Facebook, Instagram. And after, my rule is I'll run ads like for 3 days, and I think Tuesday through Thursday, because they say Monday and Friday are kind of the worst days to run ads because people are either starting their week or they're ending their week, so they're not on Facebook as much. But Tuesday through Thursday is great. If the ads are making, if my sales are paying for the ads, then I'll keep going. I'll go the whole thing, the whole week. But I had to pull those ads first for the U.S. and then for the U.K. the week after. Usually I run U.S. for 1 week and then the U.K. after. And then following that, Blood for Blood came up on special. And I ran ads for that, and it was amazing. All of a sudden, everything's selling, and people are buying Blood for Blood, and they're buying the whole trilogy. And I said, why is that? Why is Mexico, My Love not doing as well as that? And there's a lot of things that you could say about it. Like, first of all, the American Civil War has more interest out there. More people are familiar with it and curious about it. It has its own fan base than like the Mexican-American War, which is a lot more obscure. But I think what it comes down to, and the reason why Mexico, My Love is a hard sell, even though I think it may be my best book. I mean, I'm all my books are good. I'm proud of them all, but I love the story. And if you don't know, and this is no spoiler here, but it's about the parents of my main character, Carl. It's a prequel to the trilogy. It's how they meet in France. They fall in love with each other, but there's kind of a lover's triangle, and they end up running away. There's an arranged marriage. They end up running away together and going on this high adventure that takes them to North Africa, where they're gonna fight with the Algerian resistance, and then they cross the sea, and they tangle with pirates, and then they get to Mexico, and they go to California, and they fight what's called the Battle for California, the Conquest of California, which is and the battles in it, like the battles that happen in California, are exactly the way that they're our historical record. I'm very close to historical record. If it can be known, then in my plot, in my story, will always depict those battles exactly how it actually happened, with just my characters participating in it. And then they end up down in Mexico City, and for the ultimately the Battle of Chapultepec in Mexico City is the big climax. But because this is a love story, I had some confusion about how genres work and the unwritten rules about certain genres and their readers. And I was looking at, like, the most popular genres out there. Number one most popular genre in the world for fiction are romance novels. The people who read romance novels are nutsoid for it. And then after that, I think you get like military thrillers, like modern thrillers. There's shoot, I can't think of it all now, but there's high fantasy is really big. Young adult high fantasy is really big. What I write, which is historical military fiction, is a very niche genre with a dedicated fan base. I'm very lucky that the people who read my books pretty much buy the next one, and that's great. And the goal is keep those people happy, the ones that put me where I am, that I'm very grateful for, and to bring new people in. So not as big as contemporary romance, but much bigger than historical military is historical romance. And so these are, the Duke's Concubine is a typical, or because of the popularity of Outlander, there's a lot of writers that have like hunky, muscular Scotsmen in kilts making out with a beautiful woman. And so I said, this is great. Okay, so maybe I could tap into that market by writing a historical romance. I come to find out that I was writing a love story, for sure, but I was not writing a romance. And I didn't know this when I was doing it, but what I later found out is that the romance genre has very strict rules. There's very strict tropes that you have to stick to, or the readers are not going to be happy. That's what they expect when they buy a book. And the number one trope in romance is happy ending. Happy ending is, if it doesn't have a happy ending, it's not a romance. It's a love story. It can be a love story, but it's not a romance. So when I first published it, I got to pick my categories. I picked historical romance as one of them, but it's not one. And the funny thing is that guys like me who like to read, sword and musket, high adventure historical military, typically aren't interested in reading romance novels. We'll tolerate a love story. I think everybody loves Outlander. At least the first several seasons. Have read the books, um, but like a schmaltzy romance where it's a happy ending, that's just not my bag, right? And that's fine because having big battle scenes and sword fights and things like that isn't necessarily what someone who's looking for romance is looking for either. So the subtitle, and by the way, I'm not changing anything because I'm very proud of it, and I'll tell you why. As Denzel Washington says in Training Day, I'm winning anyway. Um, I'm not changing a thing, and I don't regret it. I enjoy the lesson that I learned. The subtitle, it has two mutually exclusive clauses in it that one will turn off the military fans and the other one will turn off um, uh, the romance fan. It says Mexico, my love, a swashbuckling adventure and tragic love story. So, well, actually, there's only one clause that is going to turn off both people. So anybody who's looking for a romance novel doesn't want to read a tragic love story, right? And a lot of people who are looking for a military adventure isn't really looking for a love story. So you see, even though both of those genres, historical military fiction, which is basically what I am, you could say that, and you could also say historical action adventure, because some of my later novels are not going to be so tied to wars. We're not leave. There will be more war books, but not everything's war. But it'll be high adventure. There will be combat for sure, fights and things like that. But I do like romance in my novels, but they're not romances. So I always think that I want to have at least one sword fight, one romantic aspect to it. Try to think if there's anything else. I like depicting battles. I believe that I'm good at depicting battles, and I've heard a lot of people say, even people that don't, who even my detractors, people who have critical reviews of me say the battle scenes are good. So I'm glad to hear that. So that's really it. I went after two different audiences, and I missed both of them. By trying to make it something it wasn't. It's not a historical romance. It's basically an action adventure novel that is and a love story. Um, but my best launch ever. And the reason why I say it's hard to market is that after the initial launch, it doesn't it doesn't sell well when I advertise it by itself, but it does sell, and it continues to sell, and it continues to get KEMP readers. And this is the bigger, I think, victory is that it's not going to attract new readers. Mexico My Love has a hard time doing that, but the people who read my other stuff, who are reading my series, once they get through the first three books, they're going to want to read it because of those three books set up that prequel, because there's a lot of mystery about Carl's parents and who they are and what really happened. So, and there's a lot of mystery and a lot of reveal in the trilogy. And so when you get book four, which is the prequel, now it makes it's kind of like Star Wars. Now that Star Wars actually numbers things, and it wasn't originally that way. When I went to see Star Wars in 1977, it was just called Star Wars. There was no New Hope or Episode 4. No, that was stuff that they're constantly changing Star Wars, and that's why I don't like anymore. It's too diluted. Um, but basically, book one, two, and three is like Star Wars, Empire Strikes Back, Return of the Jedi, and then book four, Mexico I Love, is like watching the prequel trilogies. And Mexico I Love is twice as long as the other books. It's a big book. Uh, and it's what, 124,000. I mean, big book for me. I try to write my books around. I try to stay around 80,000 words, and so it completes that story. And then if you like that, then then what happens is you go book 5 is the Austro-Prussian book called The Prussian Prince, and that picks up the story after the Civil War trilogy, but there are some elements in it that harken back to the Mexican book. And then the book I'm writing now, the 5th book or the 6th book, is going to kind of wrap a lot of things up. And it's going to be not an ending point, but kind of a resting point. So at the end of the book I'm writing right now, the overall narrative of what I call the Carliad is going to come to a pause. And I'm planning on, unless something else happens, once that book comes out, which I think is going to come out early next year, like maybe, January through March, sometime in there, if I stay, and I'm doing great on writing it right now. I'm very happy with it. My plan is to write a book called Black James. Black James is a character that is talked about in the trilogy. He's the father of Elijah and Liza. And then we get to meet him in Mexico, My Love. He's a pirate. And I don't know when I came up with the idea, but he's going to get his own standalone book. It's going to be epic. It's going to be a big book. I'm trying to keep my books around the 80,000 words, but that book I'll let go a little for maybe. We'll see. We'll see what we do with it. And then we might come back to Carl after that. I mean, I got the next 10 books. I mean, I got probably like 15 books planned out, but anywhere along the line, if an opportunity comes my way or I decide to change my mind, I will. But I do know this. I'm planning on finishing the book I'm writing now, about 45,000 words into it. And then unless something happens, I'm going to write the Black James book. And then I have at least, let's see, the Middle Eastern, the Western. I have 4 more Carl books that I want to write. And I am going to kill Carl. We're not going to write, like, what's his name? O'Brien or C.S. Forrester or Bernard Cornwell, where there's going to be like 20 books. Carl I've actually written Carl's death. I know exactly how he dies. I pretty much know how the story plays out over. It's going to be what I call the Carliad, about 11 books. And then I got some ideas of things that can happen after that book that may not be connected. And I also want to go back. There's some other books I'd like to write to go back into time because I'm getting way too into the future. I want to write about guys with swords, right? But I do have a World War I book, and I possibly have a World War II or pre-World War II book that I would like to do. So we'll see. So what's going on right now? So anyway, today's the last day you can get Blood for Blood at Nashville for 99 cents in America. Tomorrow it'll go on sale in the UK for 99 pence. And I will put out an email for that to all my people on my email list. So if you want to know, like, oh, Cody, damn it, I bought this book full price. I could have got it for 99 cents. I didn't know. If you're on my email list, I'll let you know. My book about writing, which is just like 50 pages, but it's just basically I explain my method of how I write, how I edit, how I publish, how I market my books. That's free right now. And the reason why I give it away for free, it's a lead loss because at the end of it, there's a preview to the Rampage on the River, which is, the book 1. The hope is that people read book 1 and then they read the whole series because they like it and they like my writing. And I'm finding that's actually what's happening. So we are running, the writing book's free, 99 cents right now for the rest of today, and then tomorrow will be 99 pence for a week in the UK. And I wrote a blurb for the French Fiasco. I'm really loving this book, man. This might be my best yet. I'm really enjoying it. So I'm probably going to, I'm constantly marketing. So I think that'll be good content to at some point kind of do a reveal. I might do a live. Laura is coming. I'm at my dad's house. I'm taking care of him. He's in hospice, and it's really funny because I'm while I'm here. My dad sends me. He's like, "Yeah, get whatever you want to drink and buy us food." So in a way, I'm treating this kind of like a all-inclusive writers retreat. Yeah. The booze and food is free. I just got to take care of my dad. He's not very mobile, so I have to help him get him his things. At 5 o'clock, it's cocktail hour. I normally my normal life, I don't drink every day. I drink like 3 nights a week. But with my dad, every cocktail hour could be the last. So I'm going to sit and have a cocktail. My dad has right now vodka martinis, and I have an old fashioned. I don't know how long this will last. But Laura's going to come down Wednesday and spend 5 days with me, and we're both looking forward to that. My dad's looking forward to that because he loves her too. She's just the sunshine. But I'm reading Stephen A. McKay's Heathen Horde. I got it for like $1.99 on special. And I want to get that done and do a review of it because the second book of that series is coming out on July the 4th. So my way of trying to help him is if I can make some noise about book one of that series right as the book two is coming out, maybe that would be helpful to him. So I hope so. My other friend, his friend, and I'm friends with too, Matthew Harvey, his book also comes out, and they didn't do this to each other. They just have two publishers that decided that July the 4th is the day. And I really think I really wonder what it is because they're British. So I know that July the 4th isn't a big deal for them, or maybe it is. Who knows? Treason Day, they call it over there. But I do think it's kind of funny. I'm going to kind of play with, hey, the best way to celebrate our Independence Day is by buying these books by my two British friends. That right, one's a Western, and the other one's a sword and shield Viking thing. Anyway, I'd like to have my review done with that, and then I'm gonna take a break from reading like my friends, and living authors' novels because I want to finish the Emily Zola's the Debacle, which is a novel he wrote about the Franco-Prussian War. I read about half of it, and then when I started writing The Prussian Prince, and then realized that I wasn't going to get into the Franco-Prussian War at all, that I was going to actually write The Prussian Prince was supposed to be about the Franco-Prussian War. And then once I kind of got to it and realized the timing didn't fit right. And so, and everything I wanted to do, I realized I was writing two books. So I broke it in half. And I made The Prussian Prince about the Austro-Prussian War. And it's kind of like the theme of it is kind of like the Odyssey. It's like trying to get back to the thing that you lost. Like in Homer's Odyssey, Odysseus, after being away from his wife at war, all he wants to do is go home and be with her, and all these things happen and get in his way. That's kind of the theme of The Prussian Prince. And the book I am writing now is I don't want to give too much of a theme because I don't want to give away. There's going to be some big surprises. There's going to be some great characters that you have known in the past from my books that are going to show up and surprise you. And so I'm going to keep quiet on that one for now. But so here's the programming note. I try to do a live every week. Next week, I don't know if I'll get one in because Laura will be here, and I might wait till after she leaves and then do my live on like Monday or Tuesday. And hopefully it'll be my review of Stephen A. McKay's book. He will actually like correct you if you say McKay, like I say. And then that's it. And then I have some other ideas. Like I said, after that, I'll probably do a reveal of the blurb and talk about where I am. I'm writing very efficiently. I'm getting up at 5 o'clock every morning and writing and getting my word count in. I am way past like my quota for this month, and my month goes from the fourth. My month starts on the fourth of because I start my month wherever I start a book. So if I started writing March 4th, so the month starts on the fourth of the month. So that's like 10 days from now, 11 days from now. Can't do math. Um, June half 30 days, November, and sometimes why I can't remember what that saying is. But all that to say that I'm on target, on schedule with my word count, where I want to be month to month, day by day, week by week, in writing the French Fiasco. I'm challenging myself. I'm not taking the easy route with a lot of things. I'm putting in complicated curveballs that are hard to handle in storylines, but it's gonna be. I mean, it's already a great book. 45,000 words story. I think it's gonna be a page turner. A lot of great stuff happening in it. A lot of really cool action, adventure, romance. I love stories about honor. Like honor amongst enemies is one of my biggest themes. You'll see it in every book I write. Is honor amongst enemies is like one of my number one trope in all my books. So that's it. That's live from Florida, Estero, Florida, where my dad lives, House Engdahl South. I love you guys. If you have an author that you like and you care about and you want to help them and you want to keep them writing, please, by all means, whether it's me or someone else, go give them 5 stars on Goodreads and Amazon. And if you can, write a couple nice words like "great book, loved it." You don't have to write a big thing like I do. Just a few words. Let people know that you really enjoyed the book. It means the world to us. It helps us in the algorithm, but it also helps readers like you who might like that person's work as well. So, love you guys. Thanks for hanging in there with me, and we will talk. If not next Sunday, maybe like a week from Tuesday or something like that.